how much free thinking are you really doing? Like, how much independent thought is really going on up here? All the time that everybody's spending so twisted up and, tangled in their fucking cranium, over all sorts of BS. How much of it's really you? How much of it is really like, oh yeah, I thought about that, and like, I, looked into it. I did some research, and I cross-referenced this, and I asked questions about that because none of these things really make sense to me. How much of that, is everybody really doing? I wonder. How much actual thought are we really giving to things? Like, or is everyone now just led along by the nose by sensationalized headlines? If you don't even call them headlines because it's just crap on fucking Instagram, Facebook, I guess, Twitter, or whatever else the kids are using these days, to get their information from, where they think they're actually getting information. Yeah, look at the real world. Here's the freaking real world out here. Okay, this is reality. Not, obviously, you're watching this on your screen, so, I mean, it is what it is. Where I'm walking is reality, okay? It's gorgeous and beautiful and lovely, and people aren't coming to attack me all the fucking time. I mean, maybe they will in the comments, but you know what? Fuck. Maybe we should start doing some thinking for ourselves. Maybe we should start following our hearts at that. Get out of the brain, get into the heart, and stop being so caught up in every, thing that comes along the pike that finds a way to, irritate us or get under our skin, and let that shit go. Could you imagine, not reacting? How about you just don't react? Don't let it get to you. When something comes up and you don't agree with it, just acknowledge it and then let it be. Have you ever thought that you could do that? You could just be like, well, I'm not going to give that my energy. When I was young, I used to be so crazy reactive to shit. And, all of the, the personal stuff, personal attacks I felt on me and my individuality and all the injustices in the world, man, I freaking, railed against the injustice of everything that I could find, I guess you would say, or come across, where I was like, down and for any cause. And it's not that those things aren't honorable, or good. Yes, of course we should care, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't care, and about so many issues that there obviously are that need tending to, but everything's not everybody's issue. And shouting, slogans or anti this or, pro that, and, just trying to bulldoze over any type of perceived opposition, which could really just be independent thought and questioning, why do you think that way? What is this thing that you're calling X, Y, Z? Do you really understand what it is that you say you stand for? I had to do some deep dives in my life, and it led me on a path that I had not anticipated. And I'm super happy about that. When I was young and I was like, oh, anarchy, I didn't really understand what it was. I knew that, from the get-go that it's not about throwing bombs and destroying shit, because that's real juvenile stuff that they teach you. The capitalist state teaches you about it. Anarchism is about self-governance. And in order to be self-governing, you have to have a very high code of ethics. You have to be an extremely moral person to be able to function that way, because you're responsible for fucking everything in your life. Doesn't matter how it happens to you. What matters is how you deal with it, what you do with your circumstances. It's not about reaction at all. It's about action that's taken appropriately, and it's about being accountable for what you're doing. How many people out there do you think are really accountable and for what they do, for how they act, for what they say about others, what they, the actions that they take, what they think they stand for. I'm not slagging on anybody, I think that people's hearts are in the right place, but I know that any type of bandwagon, politicking or, slogans that leave no wiggle room for nuance are not good, especially when they're labeled as being for that, but yet they're not. Because if you don't fit into the very wide box of what we say it is, then, there's a problem with, obviously with you. Start digging. Start asking why. Ask the people that you're with. Do you really, how much do you really have in common with them? If your circumstances change, would you still be there? What is it that you're really trying to attain? And do you think that that's for the best for yourself? Peace will not be mandated. Peace comes from within, and that frequency emanates out into the greater collective, the universe. That's how it works. So you want to see peace in the world? You want to see change? Starts right here. Get out of here, except when you're using it to question everything. Get into here. Cheers.